We should stop talking about this.
Yes.
That's some other show.
No. Talk about potential indictments coming down, stuff like that.
Oh yeah, that's what the people on the internet love to hear. Yeah, I saw that. It's big news.
Yeah. But no, those are some crazy games. I can't believe the Jags won.
If the end of that Pats game, dude, ridiculous. The end of that Pats game doesn't convince Bill Belichick to retire. I don't know what will. I'm surprised he didn't make the announcement already.
I would have thought that they would have just handed the walking papers to Jacoby Myers.
Yeah, just take off his headset and hand it to somebody and just walk off the field.
Yeah,
like Bud Kilmer in Varsity Blues just doesn't come back out for the end.
All right, Stokastic. All right, Charlie Tweeter. Nobody can cover Charlie Tweeter one-on-one. I need 5 receivers, 4 on the right, Charlie Tweeter on the left. That's a good one.
The oop-de-oop?
The oop-de-oop, baby. Jonathan Mox, baby. He's the man. Myth and legend. That's a good show. That was a good movie, actually.
That was a good movie. Absolutely. Fun romp brought to you by MTV Studios back in the day.
Oh, I forgot about that part.
Yeah, one of their few productions.
You know who is still absolutely gorgeous to this day? Allie Larder.
Oh, yeah.
She is stunning.
Big fan. Oh, yeah.
Stunning.
Big fan.
All right. Well, on that, let's talk a little basketball. Let's talk a little No House Advantage because they are bringing you the show here. We're going to have some fun. We've got about half hour. We're going to talk about a little bit of hoops here. We're going to talk about some promotions, and we're going to talk about some overlay because that's what is available for you at No House Advantage. You know what's available here for you at Stokastic? Free No House Advantage projections. I'm going to drop that link into chat. We have everything consolidated on one page. We have the Pick'em projections. This is the No House Advantage GPP contest projection. So what we will be doing is talking about that. They release their player props overnight. Similar to salaries, these player props do not move in the advent of news. So you will choose the over or under. We're going to select 10 of them to make out a card, and then you rank them with confidence points 10 through 1. If you get the question correct or the player prop correct, you get those points. Those points are added up, and that's how you battle against other gamers. Separately, they have the versus the house contest. If you don't have a sports wagering in your state, you can scratch that itch here with some player prop cards. We'll talk a little bit about that. But again, we have all the projections free for both of these formats, as well as building out a couple hundred optimal lineups for you for their GPP contest, where we rate the probability of all of the picks and then rank them highest to lowest. Terry and I have talked about this in the past. Even if you're going down 100, 200 on those rows, you're really giving up about a 0.5% or less of win equity. So don't worry so much about picking the tippy top one, but all it takes is you to just change 1 or 2 here and there, and you can get your own unique lineup.
And you can just multiply it out and, figure that out and just have add a column to the, open it up in Excel, add a column there, have it multiply, calculate the probability, and you can look at it right there. That's easy enough to do. And you can see between lineup 1 and lineup 50, it's not going to be all that different because we're not changing the probabilities all that much between those picks. We can break some news, by the way. It looks like LeBron was ruled out for tonight.
Yeah, I don't think I'm surprised anymore. I've learned writing the free DFS articles that's on the front page. I learned not to make LeBron or pretty much any player the featured play if they're on a back-to-back. There's just no point in today's NBA. We'll talk a little bit, throughout the day. What about blowout risk? What about this? No, there's no such thing as blowout risk anymore because we saw Brooklyn go into Indiana shorthanded, sit their top 7 scores and still win. Somehow Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Josh Giddey both sat on, I think that was Friday or Saturday, and the team beat Memphis.
Oh yeah, that Ja got tossed in that.
That wasn't the reason they lost.
Yeah, but did you see the ejection?
No,
I was watching that game and I had a decent amount of Ja, so I'm still a little bit sour about that one. He was jawing with somebody in the crowd with his back turned to the official. And the official tossed him. The official teed him up and tossed him, thinking that he was saying something to the official. And it was somebody in the crowd had been giving him shit or saying something to him. It was completely unrelated to anything with the official, anything with basketball. It was just so dumb. And
all right, that would be frustrating.
But yeah, that's not like Edmund Sumner turning into the best player in the NBA for 10 minutes at the beginning of that Nets game. That was just a bananas performance.
Yeah, and to be fair, the OKC led at one point by 24 at the start of the third quarter, and they worked it back up to 19 towards midway through the fourth quarter, and it was 115-109. So it had there been more time, the talent would have caught up. But
yeah, hey, fifth quarter, they might have gotten there, but yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's hit the like button. Let's get some fun here. Oh, by the way, I wanted to mention that all of our strategy shows, pretty much everything except Live Before Lock and the Deeper Dive, end up on the the Stokastic Podcast Network. We'd love if you guys, subscribe to some of those. Just set the automatic download, have it save just one episode, and help us out with some downloads. Help us out with a 5-star review. We appreciate that as well. You will enjoy them. I do enjoy the college betting podcast with Ben Rossa and Matt Gajeski. Cool. That comes out on Tuesdays. They've already done their bowl season version of that. So that's a fun one to listen to. And then it's NFL season. So most of that stuff has a decent shelf life of at least 72 hours before major news changes anything. So those are fun to listen to as you're wandering around the house, doing errands, working in the yard, etc.
And
so let's talk a little basketball.
A 5-star review when you listen to it?
Do I what?
Did you give it a 5-star review when you listen to it?
I have, and I have my wife's phone subscribed.
So you're cheating
to it as well. And it just deletes after one episode. I don't think she even knows that it's subscribed there yet.
Oh, so, wow. Look at you. You're really cheating. You're cheating the system and the iTunes. You're cheating the wife's phone here.
But not cheating on the wife. Big well, difference.
Yeah, no, that's what we want to be perfectly clear about that.
All righty, let's get into the fun. So I'm looking at our the versus the house props here. We've got it broken out with, I'm looking at the pick'em projections. Yeah. We've got the under and the over odds. You can easily sort here. We're going to look at the under odds first here. I see we've got Lauri Markkanen. 9.5 rebounds. The finisher playing a lot. I wrote him up the other day because I wagered on this when he was against Milwaukee, and I said he would get more than 7 or 6.5 rebounds. I was wrong. He did not that game. I don't think he's going to get more than 9.5. He is playing close to 30 upper 30s minutes per game. His per 36 and his season long average for rebounds right now are about 6, going from memory, it's about 6.7. It's going to be a rough one for him to get there. I can see why we have a high probability of him coming in under on that one. What do you think about that one? Anything else popping up there for you, Terry?
So looking at that one, I've actually got him at 8.3 per game, 8.9 per 36, unless I uploaded something wrong. So I've got him a little bit closer to that 9.5 line. We've also got no Kelly Olynyk, so it does imply that there's going to be a couple potential rebounds available. Extra.
Kessler's a beast on the boards.
Well, that's what I was going to get to. Was that his rebounding rate only goes from 12 to I think it was 13.2 or something like that when you take Olynyk off and you put those guys in. So you're going to have Kessler, you're going to have Vanderbilt in there with them, both very good rebounders. So I don't think it's going to really change. I think we're fine keeping him short of that average. It might be a little bit more fragile than the 89.5% suggests, but I think we're fine. Maybe knock it down the card a couple pegs instead of using it as the top pick. But I think there's plenty of justification for that one going well.
Yes, and you are correct. 6.9 was, well, it's nice. That is his career number. I had written this up, so I was just trying to mentally picture the basketball reference page. Hey, I've opened it up, and Terry's numbers are correct. Not that I doubted them.
Though, buddy. My numbers might be correct, but that only means I loaded the correct CSV in here. You have the good mental acuity and the good sharp recall. And
excellent.
Please,
all right.
At these advanced stages of ours, these are important details.
How are you thinking about Pascal Siakam tonight? Back-to-back here for Toronto. They played at home last night. They are now in Philadelphia. He will be battling fellow Cameroonian Joel Embiid. Siakam's been good. Double-digit rebounds. That's a tall order. There's a pretty good front court there in Philly when it comes to rebounding. Are they? Tobias Harris should be back. That brings in one more rebounder. And while Embiid isn't a top end rebounder himself, it's just one more person out there that can grab things from Siakam. What are you thinking there about Pascal?
Yeah, that one just looks like a big line, right? It's sitting at 10.5. We've got him projected to 8.37. So it's not like we're saying he's going to have a bad game by any means. That's just right around what he averages. And we're projecting him for 37 minutes. He plays 36 a night, basically pulls down 8.3 a game. But adding 2 on top of that, what he's averaging seems unfair in this matchup in a situation where it's, the 37 minutes that we're already giving him. Even if we extend that out to a couple additional minutes, you're really pushing the edges of credulity, even with a team like the Raptors that does run these guys into the ground a lot of the time. And a guy like him that does play a ton of minutes. It's just a lot of rebounds to ask for at 10.5. Looking at his season game log, I think we've gotten there the first 2 games of the season. It looks like he got there, and then he's gotten there twice since. So he's gotten there like 4 times out of 27 games, 20 games. So yeah, I don't really like that one. I'm actually surprised. I think that one feels like it should be a little stronger than the 85.7% we've got it at. So maybe flip flop that one in the Lauri Markkanen one in your confidence ratings, but they both look very good.
Yep, and there's a chance OG Anunoby returns. It would be one more rebounder coming in for Toronto, or at least an upgrade over the Chris Bouchers, and I'm blanking on the name of their center. The other one that's interesting is John Collins. So he has missed the last 7-8 games. He's coming in with a PRA, that's points, rebounds, and assists, of 26.5. On the season, he is averaging about 22 and a half. He's going against Orlando here. He's been out for a while dealing with an ankle issue. Could be a little bit of rust. There's also a chance, let's see, that DeJounte Murray may come back. He's been dealing with an ankle injury as well. We know he is a good rebounder. However, another good rebounder, and Clint Capella not on the floor here. I tend to undersell John Collins more often than not. So, of course, I would like to take the under on this particular one. I think we'll be playing him in the DFS landscape. But in this one here, I'm okay hedging out a little bit if I'm going to be playing on multiple sites here. And this would be taking the under. How do you feel about that one? And give us one more before we work our way over to the overs, because who wants to root for unders besides me?
Yeah, it seems like one where they're giving a lot of room on this one, and it is 87.3% probable to go under, and again feels a little bit more comfortable even than that at 26.5. He's averaging 21-1 in 31.5 minutes from before he got injured. Like you said, missed the last handful of games. We've got him projected at 29.3 minutes, which is 2 fewer than what he's averaged for the season when he was putting that up. So you expect that'll shave it down a little bit. You could realistically expect that they'll play him even less than that in his first game back from injury. So that's just our speculation. And then looking at it in a per 36 cents, per 36, he's only averaging 24-1. So we're still more than 2 PRA, points, rebounds, assists shy of what that line is at. It really seems like a comfy one, taking all the different factors into consideration there. So I think I would definitely hammer that Collins one there. And then just looking around the board, there's an interesting one in the Anthony Edwards threes that's sitting there. It's a 3.5. It just seems pretty heavy. He's averaging 2.6 makes, 7.1 takes a game. So he's shooting 36% from 3, but it's not like he's shooting more than 10 times from 3, which is what we really look for. Like we always like to look for that supporting volume when these get over like a 2.5 line. Even at 2.5, I like to see more than 10 attempts so that I know even if a guy has a bad game, I've got a reasonably good shot at getting there. This one just feels a little bit tight to me at 3.5. We've got him projected 2.18. Even if he gets to his average of that 2.6, I just feel like that's going to be a little bit tough for him to get there. So could he? Absolutely. He's a terrific scorer, but I don't think he gets there.
All right. And again, everybody that's watching, we do have these free projections on the page for you for No House Advantage. They are overlay. That is their marketing campaign. In addition to signing up over there, if you come in through the link below us here, your first deposit will be matched up to $50. Those funds will come out of your account first. That's an easy way. Put in 50 and you're really starting with 100. Come in through this link here on No House Advantage. Let's look at some of the overs. A couple nice things we have on this projection page. You can export this out to Excel or a CSV. You can also copy this very easily into your own spreadsheets. And then up at the top, we have a couple filter bars there. So if you want to quickly just look at certain categories like rebounds or 3-pointers or PRA, you can put that in the prop line, or you can search for a specific player's props. Oftentimes you'll want to just look and see what's there for a specific player. Like if, say someone like LeBron James and perhaps Anthony Davis are out, you may want to see, let's see if they have any Westbrook up there tonight. They do. Yep. So PRA for Westbrook, 26.5. We have him for 28. That feels a little bit light, Terry. We may not have an update since LeBron was confirmed out. That was about 15 minutes ago. So be fair to our projections. People, I had someone ask me on Twitter, and I'll be, if you're watching now, I will be responding to the message that came through customer service. They said, "Hey, is your article based on on Stokastic projections for NBA?" And the answer is, kind of. I usually write my article off of our first or second run of projections. We're going to do another 10 to 15 as news comes out. Now, that doesn't mean every projection's changing every time. It's just for prospective teams. But when I write those articles, I put a lot of caveats in there. I try to make my core play someone that's going to be a core play all night, unless they're ruled out, like Giannis or Doncic or whatever it might be. And then I've been writing up a lot of team situations where we can talk about, hey, here, Portland, 3 players are questionable tonight. 3 of their starters. If any one of them is out or all 3, there's going to be a variety of moving parts that can advance some of their secondary players in there. So yes, they are sort of written with projections, but the projections change all the time. And then somebody wants to know, why don't I go in and update that article? It's like, well, it's a free article. So I do my best to make it a teaching type of article as well, but there's only so many hours in the day.
That's it. And you've got to get your lineups made. And most of that news doesn't actually change until after 6 p.m. when you're looking toward a 7 p.m. Eastern time lock. And you've got, the bulk of that comes in the last half hour, 15 minutes even. So there's just no way that anybody could go in and update those articles and do what we do in enough time. So but hopefully everybody out there gets that content written in the morning, shows that happen in the morning change dramatically. I jokingly, when I was hosting a show with Adam the other day, like 2 Saturdays ago, said, "Hey, make sure you're tuning in, guys, for the 6 o'clock show, because it'll be totally different." I was hosting the 6 o'clock show as well. And I said it jokingly, knowing that some things would change. And it was like 100% a different slate that Ryan and I talked about in the evening, because like 4 stars had scratched. We had all this emergent value. These things change dramatically from the start of the day to the end of the day. And that's where you can capitalize on things like at No House, where these lines don't change. So you get a line like Russ Westbrook. I do expect this to shoot up. We had it projected, like you said, at 27.99, call it 28 on the PRA. That was already 59.5% likely to go over the 26.5 line in the versus the field contest. I expect that to take a nice jump. That's going to be one of our meteor ones, I think, by the time it's all said and done. Maybe it lands in the mid 70s or something like that as far as the probability goes, but I would expect that PRA is going to go from 28 into the 30s somewhere with no AD, no LeBron. It's just going to be a lot for a dynamic player like Russ Westbrook to do. So we know that he fills every category in the stat sheet. I can see him easily getting to that PRA.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thesis on that one, in that there's always a chance he's not out there with the closing lineup. He wasn't out there last night. I needed him to get 13.5 points. I think he ended up around 8 or 9. And I needed LeBron to just make 2 3-pointers. I think he was like 1 for 5. He hardly even took any. It's like, really, you're gonna screw up my parlays again? Gosh darn it. But them's the breaks, as they like to say.
Hey, on that Anthony Edwards threes, by the way, he did take 11 attempts. I was just looking at the game log. He did take 11 attempts in the last game. So if he goes out and has a shooting night like that, he only made, I think, 4 of them. So he did get to that 3.5 line that we were talking about for that prop, but just barely. And that's on 11 attempts. If he goes out and takes 11 again, that's going to change the equation a little bit there from what I was talking about with the 7 and change that he takes per game. But I need to see a little bit more supporting evidence of him doing that over and over again before I, really change the math on it.
Yeah. And actually that's a good one. Let's talk LaMelo Ball, because he's been back for 3 games. In those 3 games, he has played 34, 32, and 36 minutes. He has attempted 13, and 9 3-pointers here. His 3-point prop is 3.5. So even though he's taking 13 3-pointers per game, he's about a 38% shooter. So if we take 38% times, let's give him 12 field goal attempts. That's 4.5. He's going to have to continue to get that volume and not see a little bit of poor regression here, that's a bit of a stretch. So some of these you want to have some context in, and you're like, oh my God, he's taking, X number of 3-pointers. We're going to get there. It's not all that often you see players get more, unless you're a Steph Curry, Damian Lillard, get more than 3 makes per game from 3, because yes, a lot of time consistently. I guess that's the answer. Yeah, we'll see somebody go 6 for 10. Great. Then you're going to go look where they were 0 for 4, 1 for 5, 2 for 8, 1 for 9. Oh, so they're really still averaging 33%. Oh, I guess I caught lightning in a bottle. So you want to be careful on some of these. And I know Eitan likes to put out a lot of the 3-point props. What he's looking at there is a lot of them where that's like 1.5 or 2.5.
Right. He chases a lot of the thin ones. Yeah.
So it's not a bad bet, but it's one to start thinking. Once you start getting up to, they need to make a few, you're like, I might need a little luck on my side. Yeah, it gets, even for the good shooters.
It gets dicey. What I do like about LaMelo in his limited run this year so far, his limited game log this year so far, the fewest that he's taken is 8. He took 8 once, he took 9 twice, and then he's taken 13 twice and 15 once. So the looks, it feels like they are going to just let him take as many as he wants per game. And he's their guy, right? He's the only thing they've really got going on down there. So if he just wants to shoot, he's going to go out there and shoot. I don't dislike the idea of him being able to go out and knock down 4 of these for us, but I think the math on it where we've got it is also correct. 63.4% probable to go over that 3.5. He's averaging 4.3 makes a game on the 11.2 takes a game at 38%, like you were saying. So I think it's sitting right at that 63, 65%, whatever we want to call it. 3.95 is the projection. That feels accurate, but it also doesn't feel like when we absolutely need to chase in this versus the field contest. If you are building it in, maybe put it down card a little bit.
How about Chris Paul? 8.5 assists. We're projecting him for 12. Again, we haven't done the latest run on this one with LeBron out, Austin Reeves out, etc. This is now where we start to talk, is there a blowout risk? So here's the nice thing about Chris Paul. He's doing a ton of passing. He's not necessarily looking to scoring. There is no Cameron Payne. He's going to miss probably a couple more games here. So Paul does his best work these days as a facilitator. And, he can just sit back, get the ball over to Booker, get it to some of the other wings, etc. I think that's a good situation. 8.5, it's a meaty number, but he could really get there in that particular role. Plus, we know he's willing to share the ball a ton, right? You watch him pick his spots when he goes for offense. Do we really think that his team is going to need his offense tonight against a depleted Phoenix Suns? Probably not, but they are going to need him out there facilitating the offense. So I do like the over at 8.5 there. How are you standing on that one? I see we've got a James Harden one there that's looking pretty solid. And I wanted to see is...
Yeah, and I think the Suns might actually need a little bit of offense out of Chris Paul because there is no Devin Booker tonight as well.
I didn't see that.
But the other thing that does for Chris Paul, as far as relates to this prop, which is pushing the projection that we've got on him for the season, he's averaging 9 assists per game in his 31.3 minutes. We're giving him an additional minute and change at 33 minutes. The 9 assists is on a 39% assists percentage. That jumps to a 47 and change when he's playing without Booker. When he's playing without Booker and Payne, it jumps to, let's see if Wowie's got it for me yet. Ball handling, where'd it go? There it is. It jumps to, without both of them, it jumps to 50%. So we're talking about a major jump in the assist rate for a guy who's already looking to rack up assists. Like his primary goal is to be a facilitator most of the time. So I have no issues with that. It's sitting at 98.7 to go over. That seems like our most, by the numbers, it's our most confident pick. I think we're very confident in that one. So I have no issues putting that at the top of the card.
Yep. Unless we forget, he did lead the league with 10.8 assists last year. So
there you go.
Recent years says, the 37-year-old probably still can get it done here.
Easily the best point guard of his generation and of the last 15 years. I mean, I won't question him on this one.
All right. I wanted to see Sabonis here. So do we give him a boost because it's his dad's birthday today? I don't think the transitive properties.
It was Arvidas' birthday.
Yes, it is. It is. He was the only name most people would recognize of the players' birthdays today. not everybody's going to recognize him because he was the mythical center from Russia that took forever to come over. Finally ended up playing with Trailblazers, and he played for one other team. I think maybe it was Dallas or something like that. But he was like the mythical guy, but he just, the Iron Curtain was up and all that. So we didn't get to see him. You could only hear about how good he was. And then in the occasional European tournaments, even then, Russian teams weren't always involved in them. So anyway, but he gets to go against the Charlotte Hornets. Did you see that one Nikola Jokic put up a 40-point career high 27 rebound triple-double last night? Against this team. They may be a little lead-legged, having played in Denver last night. They're going to be going against Sabonis. Love him as a power forward on FanDuel. I think he's good on DraftKings as a center, but his numbers here, the PRA, no house advantage says 38.5. That's a lofty number. We're saying slightly over. I wanted to see where it was, but I think they were picking this as one that they wanted to make it high enough that we would take the under. It didn't quite work out there.
It didn't get there.
I was hoping that would be a strong recommendation here. It's not as much. I do like his points. He has to get 16.5. We have him at 19.5, 70% chance of going over. I think that's a reasonable one. I was hoping to get the PRA just because he's a good passer. He gets a fair number of rebounds, etc. But that one looks a little more daunting. But I would take the scoring for sure. Anything else? Let's wrap up that, and we'll pick a couple against the house here.
Yeah, and just looking at Sabonis, the assists on its own is also sitting as a pretty strong pick on our board. 75.8% to go over the 5.5 assists line. He's averaging 6.4 for the season, 28.3% assist rate. Nice assist rate for a big man. So that one kind of seems like a good pick. And I tell you what, that's one that's sitting there in that high probability range that not a lot of people are going to go to. Not a lot of casuals, not a lot of people who are just not looking at numbers, not looking at win rates on these bets are going to see a 5.5 assist line on a big man and immediately say, that makes sense. So that's the advantage of using the projections, using the win rates from our pages from over at Stokastic, is you can just have that laid out in front of you. I wouldn't have necessarily thought about that. I would have said, oh, he's a good passing big man, but I wouldn't have thought that would have been a 75%er. So knowing that, you can build those into your cards to differentiate your lineups a little bit in these tournaments where we do see a lot of chops at the top when a lot of the chalk comes in. It's a good way to sneak one in there and maybe change your card up a little bit from what everybody else is doing. So those are ones that I like to spot. And that's, generally it's using that win rate column is how I spot them. So I like that one a lot.
So he has in 22 of 28 games exceeded that number.
That's
so good. that is about a 78% chance, or 78% of the time he has surpassed that number. So while he doesn't get double-digit assists, he does 2 double-digit assist games, one with 9. He is living in that 6 through 8 range, very consistently. There,
and I do like the points too. The points one that you called out. We've got him projected at 19.47. He's averaging 17.7. We're giving him 2 additional minutes tonight beyond what he averages in the terms of the minutes. 19.9% usage. I see no reason to expect that he wouldn't be able to get to that in this matchup too.
All right. I dropped the link there. I can see it still in the chat, so you guys can grab that. But this is the No House Advantage free projections page. If we go to that page and click on the versus the house prop, this is going to be their dynamic sports wagering. This is where you are going against the house. So they're not claiming there's no house advantage because they can move the props around. These are going to mimic pretty closely what is out in a lot of the books. So a lot of the successful or top end ones that you're going to look at are going to be somewhere between about 57 and 63% success rate. That's about where they are in a lot of the books. The other thing you want to kind of remember in here is there's not any, we're not getting whatever it is in a minus 170 or a plus 110. It's just binary. It is what it is. So for basketball, it's a little tougher to get a bit of a user advantage here because it's very incremental. Whereas football, it's, did you get a touchdown or not? Did you get 6.5, whatever it is, you can do a little bit better. against what they're doing and get a slighter bit of an edge. Similarly with hockey shots, which is something they also have here. So you guys can check that out. But we've got for basketball, we do have the live page that comes in with our feed here. So it looks like Eric Gordon and Alfred Şengün are two of our top options here. They're at 61%. Same thing with Joel Embiid. He's at 61% success. For Embiid, it's to go under 10.5 rebounds. Now, by the way, Embiid does not average double-digit rebounds. I know that's a shock for a lot of people, but he does not, or at least he hasn't for a fair number of seasons in his career. Alfred Şengün, this one's a little bit interesting. We're looking at the over for points. We got him at 12.5. We got him at 14.7. The number's 12.5. That's a reasonable take to go on the over. Jakob Poeltl is back for San Antonio, but that really isn't going to hurt Şengün. And then you've got Eric Gordon. The venerable Eric Gordon plays more minutes than we expect. They're mostly empty fantasy minutes. Why is that? Well, because he scores and he shoots 3-pointers. Hey, wait a second. We need him to make 2 3-pointers. The line is 1.5. 61% rate says he gets 2. Those I would be tempted on. Now, here's the moral of the story. As someone who had a 10-leg parlay on Saturday that missed 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. So let's not aim small, miss small. That was, $10 turning into 300. I was okay for that. But take these 2 play cards, take these 3 play cards, take the 3x, take the 6x return. That adds up, I promise you, and you get the dopamine hit a little more often than trying to make it a 4 or a 5 card parlay, because you got to get all of them right in their format. Now, they do have the highest payout in the industry at No House Advantage for 4x and for 5x. They get 21 X return.
Not bad,
but it's hard to hit those. That means they're expecting you to get those 1 out of every 21 times you play. That's a lot of losses just to break even. So I like the smaller ones here. Did anything pop for you there on the versus the house page? If you have that up, I can feed you a few more if you don't.
I pulled it up while you were going through that. So those ones stood out to me off the top of the board here. We've also got Dame with the assists under at 7.5. We've got him projected at 7. So that's pretty tight, just calling it a half an assist under, but we're calling it a 60% win rate. So I don't dislike that one. Similar with Josh Hart on the rebounding, 7.5. We've got him at 8.4. And maybe that's calling it a little bit better, a little bit more padding by getting it out to 0.9 beyond the line there. So that one I kind of like a little bit more. It's also 60%. So either one of those, but these are a lot tighter. These are a lot more difficult to work with. So you're really looking for those, those percentages that creep up just above 60 or into the high 50s. And we've got a bunch of them on the board here. So just try and avoid the total coin flips, take the edge where you can find it, and try and claw back some of that advantage from the house over at No House Advantage.
All right. That is going to wrap up our show today. So the highlights, 1, follow us on our podcast. You can go to stokastic.com, and the upper banner on the far right, there's a podcast page. Tells you all the different podcast feeds we have. We do have some consolidated feeds. We also have some broken out. So if you only want basketball or you only want football, you can get to those channels. You can get a $50 deposit match here with No House Advantage by coming in through the link below us. Your first deposit, they will match up to $50. That comes out. That's an immediate match. You can't withdraw it, but it's not a drip bonus either. So it plays just like cash. And then, of course, we have coming up next, starting at 5, you get the deeper dive with Lofty and Adam. Then you get live before lock with Greg and Eric. But wait, there's still more. At 7:15, you're going to get NFL live before lock with Savoca and Neil Orfield. And that's all brought to you by No House Advantage. So we thank them for sponsoring these shows today.
Programming.
Absolutely. So let's have a lot
Terry
of fun.
Rozier's out too, by the way. So a little bit more, or he's doubtful. So a little bit more support on that LaMelo. I just saw that pop in the Discord there from the news god. So a little bit more support for that LaMelo threes. He's just going to be shooting.
Very nice, because Dennis Smith Jr. missing his 13th straight game or whatever it is. So here's the keys to the franchise, kid. Enjoy.
There you go.
Alrighty, well, with that, we thank the sex bots that popped in. Now we know we've made it. We got some sex bots. We need at least 10 likes. Come on, there's 80, now. Yeah, 85 watching. Come on, we can get 20 likes here. Just hit the like button on the way out. We desperately appreciate that, or desperately
appreciate.
Yeah,
Definitely appreciate.
We're thankful, but we're gonna get on out of here. You can follow Terry on Twitter at DigitalB21. I am at EMac DFS. Thank you to
Mikey.
producer Mike. With that, gamers, Good luck.